The UN accuses Israel of endangering peacekeepers, drones dropping grenades within meters of blue helmets in Lebanon. In Gaza, the IDF boasts suicide drones are rewriting the rules of war, hunting Hamas at street level. But Hamas claims genocide, accusing Netanyahu of crimes against humanity. The battlefield is shifting from skies to alleys, from drones to robots, and from accusations to war crimes trials. The United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon has accused Israel of endangering peacekeepers after drones dropped 4 grenades near its personnel southeast of the village of Marwahim. The incident occurred on the morning of September 2nd, while engineers were clearing roadblocks obstructing access to a UN position. According to UNIFIL, 1 grenade landed within 20 meters of staff and vehicles, with 3 others falling close by. No injuries were reported, but the force described it as among the most serious attacks on its mission since last year's ceasefire with Hezbollah. UNIFIL said Israel had been informed in advance about the clearance work and suspended operations after the strike for safety reasons. The mission added that endangering peacekeepers violated both international law and Security Council Resolution 1701, which underpins its mandate.
The Israel Defense Forces drones dropped 4 grenades close to UNIFIL peacekeepers, working to clear roadblocks hindering access to a UN position. 1 grenade impacted within 20 meters, and 3 within approximately 100 meters of UN personnel and vehicles. This is one of the most serious attacks on UNIFIL personnel and assets since the cessation of hostilities agreement of last November.
The incident comes days after a separate episode in which 2 Lebanese soldiers were killed by the explosion of a downed Israeli drone. Israel expressed regret for that event, attributing it to a technical malfunction. The wider conflict between Israel and Hezbollah escalated sharply in 2024 and was paused by a US-brokered ceasefire in November. While hostilities eased, Israel has continued targeted operations in Lebanon, citing violations by the Iranian-backed group. The Israeli military says suicide drones have become the leading tool for eliminating Hamas fighters in Gaza, marking what commanders describe as a fundamental shift in battlefield tactics. According to the IDF, the Atalef drone, named after the Hebrew word for bat, is now widely distributed across ground units. Unlike earlier stages of the conflict, the system no longer requires authorization or support from the Air Force. Infantry platoons, often no larger than a few dozen soldiers, now operate their own fleets of surveillance and strike drones. Officials say the drones are being used in several ways. Some enter buildings to detect booby traps or concealed tunnel openings. Others survey terrain ahead of advancing troops, scanning ridge lines and alleyways for possible ambushes. The technology is intended to limit risk for soldiers while expanding their ability to detect Hamas positions in real time. The Israeli army has built new training infrastructure to support this shift. 14 schools are currently instructing some 20,000 soldiers in drone operations, a scale not seen in the military before. What had once been the responsibility of battalion commanders managing reconnaissance tools for roughly 250 troops has now been decentralized. The IDF says every platoon is equipped with drones for intelligence gathering and, increasingly, for lethal strikes. The growing reliance on these systems underscores a wider trend in modern warfare, where inexpensive, pilotless aircraft are reshaping combat at close quarters. Israeli officials argue the adaptation has saved lives by reducing exposure to ambushes and by enabling more precise targeting of militants. The shift also reflects lessons drawn from nearly a year of operations in Gaza, where dense urban terrain has complicated conventional maneuvers. With suicide drones now at the forefront, the IDF suggests the role of ground forces is being redefined. Hamas has accused Israel of systematically destroying Gaza City through the use of advanced military technology, including explosive-laden robots. The statement, issued on September 2nd, comes days after the launch of Operation Gideon Chariots II, Israel's latest offensive aimed at seizing the territory's largest urban centre in its entirety. The Palestinian group said the campaign has relied on intensive aerial bombardment and robotic systems carrying large amounts of explosives, detonated inside residential neighbourhoods. Hamas described the methods as unprecedented and characterized them as war crimes and crimes against humanity under international law. According to Hamas, the offensive is part of a wider strategy to forcibly displace Gaza City's nearly 1 million civilians, many of whom had already fled other areas under Israeli bombardment. The group accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of pursuing ethnic cleansing and warned that the toll has risen above 63,500 deaths since the conflict began in October 2023, most of them women and children. The International Criminal Court issued arrest warrants last year for Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, alleging war crimes and crimes against humanity in Gaza. Hamas argued that Israel's actions confirm those charges and necessitate urgent intervention by the United Nations Security Council. The group also urged Arab and Islamic states, as well as international civil society, to exert greater pressure to halt what it called genocide.
We call on Arab and Islamic countries and the free people of the world to take effective action and continue pressure to stop the crime of genocide committed by the Zionist occupation in the Gaza Strip, and to confront its projects that threaten security and peace in the entire region.
Hamas called the United States Israel's partner in crime, referring to Washington's providing unprecedented and unyielding military and political assistance to the regime at the height of the war.